who are we? Who is Community Partnerships and Initiatives? What are public programs and engagement at the Met? And the best way to speak about this is through our head educator, our educator in charge, Sherry Williams, who can give us a little bit of a journey about what does it mean when we speak about public programs and engagement at the Met. So with that said, I want to toss the mic to Sherry. Sherry, I can't see you. Apologies. We have many pages here. But if you're with us,
Totally
there you
okay,
go.
Marty. Yeah,
Thank
hopefully
you,
you can hear
Sherry.
me okay. Thank you for bringing us together, and thank you for giving me an opportunity just to introduce public programs and engagement at the Met. Hi, everyone. I apologize. I can't show my face on screen. Zoom is doing what it does, and thus my computer needs an update. But I'm so thrilled to be here to see all of the organizations represented in the chat, and the potential to think about our potential partnerships, and to hear Akili talk about his amazing exhibition, which is opening very, very soon. So I'll try to keep it brief. As Marty said, my name is Sherry Williams. My pronouns are she and her, and I am the educator in charge for public programs and engagement at the Met. So on your screen, I've given just a very brief overview of some of what we do. But we are the public-facing arm of the education team at both the Met Fifth Avenue and Met Cloisters sites. Our work is primarily with adult audiences, intergenerational, and then community. So if we go from left to right, we have our Met Cloisters education team, who builds experiences for families, teens, adults, community, and intergenerational groups. Those take the forms of talks, classes and workshops, demonstrations, drop-in drawings, hands-on making activities, performance, but also off-site engagement. We have a creative practice team, and their primary responsibility is to develop experiences for adult and intergenerational audiences on-site and off-site that focus on process and materials, that really kind of pull the veil back on how a work of art is made, and then offers an opportunity for the public to practice or to learn an artistic technique. So those are classes and workshops, open studio, which is a larger term for a multimodal experience that includes an artist demonstration, a hands-on making activity, and also sometimes interactions in the gallery. So trying to come at it from multiple angles of talking about the work that we show. We have drop-in drawing. We have the copyist program, which is the oldest program at the Met. It's over 150 years old, and it really is meant to support artists and give them an opportunity to learn from the Met's collection, to be in gallery, painting or sculpting from a work of art on view. We are going to be testing a new format, master classes, which is just another avenue to talk about technique and process from who we might consider a master artist. We have our public programs team, and their focus is talk-based experiences that connect adult museum visitors with creativity, knowledge, and ideas, and engages all 17 collection areas of the museum, as well as our many, many special exhibitions, including Flight into Egypt. These are talks, these are panels, these are symposia, study days, convenings, all that we hope will elucidate and extend what you see on the walls of the museum through critical discussions, through looking at topical issues, really to create a sense of belonging and to build relevance between the Met and the publics we hope to serve. And then finally, the reason we're here today is community partnerships and initiatives. And their remit is to develop and sustain authentic relationships with communities throughout New York City. It requires intentional outreach, strategic partnerships, community-driven programming, and collaboration across public programs and engagement. And what I couldn't fit on this slide is collaboration across the museum. So you'll see in our chat, we have our colleagues from our D&I office in attendance, correspondence and probably some other folks that I can't even see. And so to have Marty and her team serve as the interlocutor of sorts between the museum and the community is something that's really key for us. To close, the thing I would love to emphasize is that most of our offerings from public programs and engagement are free with museum admission. And for our New York crowd, admission is pay as you wish. So that is as little as a penny. And then you're able to take advantage of all of the really great programming we do, both at the Met, at Met Fifth Avenue, and in our offsite spaces in collaboration with partners like you. So I'll thank you. I'll finish by just thanking you once again for being here. And I'm excited to hear from Akili and to hear more from Marty and her team. Thank you, Marty.
Thank you so much, Sherry, for that wonderful presentation and overall about our public programs and engagement. And as Sherry just mentioned, the work that we do, we don't do it alone. We do it alongside all of you and community-based organizations. So for this exhibition, like many of the exhibitions that we work here at the Met, we intentionally reach and serve and partner with you in order to reach our communities across New York. So we're excited to tell you more about the community and partnerships and initiatives work that we do. But before I do, I also want to say that I'm not alone in this work, and I have a great team, very meaningful and impactful and passionate about what they're doing. So before I throw it to them, just wanted to do a quick intro of my own name because I failed to mention that. Marty Preciado, I am the Managing Educator for Community Partnerships and Initiatives, she, her, ella, and I am blessed to work next to Janelle and Laura. So I'll toss it to Janelle just for a quick intro.
Thanks so much, Marty. Wonderful to see you all here today. Thank you for being here. My name is Janelle Thompson, she, they pronouns. I'm the project manager for community partnerships and initiatives here at the Met, and we'll pass it to Laura.
Good afternoon, everybody. So lovely to meet you all virtually. My name is Laura Rique, she, her pronouns. I'm the program coordinator for community partnerships and initiatives. I'll pass it back to Marty.
Thank you so much, Laura. I feel like we're building like the tension before we get to Akili. I love this. I'm loving this anxiety. But community partnerships and initiatives, y'all, as Sherry mentioned, we strive to reach and serve New York. And we do this through community partnerships. We do this through the initiatives that we build, through the programs that we're creating. We intend to be community-based, community-led, community-run, community-centered in the work that we do. And our initiatives respond, honor, and celebrate New Yorkers. We work alongside all of you so we can eradicate any assumption of how to best serve community, but instead learn directly from community about how we can reach and serve. And we strive to uplift what the community is already working on. The work that we're doing is not new. We're not reinventing the wheel. We are working alongside y'all in advancing this mission. So we're very excited to be in community with y'all. And just to give you some examples of the work that we're doing and some of the outcomes here, and hopefully this could also pique your interest about joining us as partners in future initiatives here at the Met. So we'll talk a little bit more about our Dia de los Muertos program. Laura, if you want to take it away.
Indeed, yes. So the image you're looking at is from our Sunday, October 13th event, Dia de los Muertos celebration at the Met Cloisters. In collaboration with their team and community partners, we are very proud to share that we drew nearly 3,000 attendees, which is the highest turnout the Cloisters has experienced since reopening in 2020. This program was held, it was an all-day event, and all activities were designed by, for, and with the community, as Marty shared, to ensure that we have meaningful engagement at every level. We had art making, we had performances, we had workshops and storytelling, and every program offered that day was offered in both Spanish and English. We partnered with community-based organizations from each borough, again, intentionally targeting communities that would most benefit from this celebration. We shared with our community over 300 free family and friends passes. Each pass allows up to 4 guests, and as a result, we welcomed over 1,500 individuals to both of our locations at Met Fifth and Met Cloisters via our intentional outreach strategies. And this is just one of the many programs that represents our commitment to intentional community engagement, so I will pass it over to Janelle to share more.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Marty. So the work that we do here really encompasses on-site programs and workshops as well as off-site engagements. The programs we do with our community partners, as you've already heard, are in the spirit of trust building and authentically serving and celebrating diverse communities across New York City. We ideate and facilitate our programs with and by our community partners. So the photo here that you're seeing is one of our creative practice programs that Sherry just mentioned, called Open Studio, where an artist is invited to do a demonstration on a specific art practice. And then following the demo, there's a drop-in art activity, and these happen monthly and are included with museum admission. For this program, we partnered with New Latin Wave. They're an organization that showcases and supports Latina artists and culture makers. So the artist here is Maria Veronica San Martin, and she led a printmaking demo that connected to themes around our Mexican prints exhibition, which is now on view. And then, of course, we do work on site, but we understand how imperative it is that we leave the museum. So for our off-site engagements, we identify community spaces across New York City where the Met can hold programs such as art making, workshops, talks, and celebrations. Here, earlier this year, we had our 4th annual Pura Beltray Community Celebration. Our team here was tabling and giving out goodies, and this was a collaboration with the New York Public Library, East Harlem Community Partnership, and other East Harlem-based community organizations that were there to celebrate Pura Belpray's legacy.
Thank you so much, Chanel, Laura. And just to bring us to this slide and more of the work, I also want to highlight that part of our efforts in order to be in community is to hear from community. And we're very excited to say that earlier this year, when we did our Harlem Renaissance exhibition, we had a preview with more than 60 partners, community-based organizations. We designed programs with these partners to intentionally reach and serve communities in Harlem, but also across New York. And part of this was also creating community tours. What that means is that we identify community-based organizations, we bring their constituencies to the Met, and we give them a curator-led tour or a Met staff-led tour. And what this really helps us is to really build the advocacy, yes, for the exhibition, but also open the doors to our organizations to get to know the Met, to get to know the work that we're doing, connect them with the material that we have in display, but most importantly, sometimes driving in new audiences through those doors. So it is a work of trust. It is a work of working with community-based organizations, and we'd love to host you for a community tour, and we'll talk more about that at the end of this presentation, but our efforts are intentional. And this is an image here of a conversation that we had for one of our celebrations, which was our Harlem Renaissance celebration back in July. And we had different talks, community tours, performances, and we really had Harlem in the space taking over as it should. So we're very excited to be doing these efforts. But I think this is a perfect moment to segue, and I should have like a drum roll right now. But these are all the programs in terms of our community partnerships and initiatives that we're working on. And we hope that you can see the intention in working with you and developing these programs and bringing you through these doors. But I think it's also important for you to see from our curators who are building these monumental exhibitions and really connecting with New York. Today, I want to introduce you to Achille Tomasino, who is our Associate Curator in the Modern and Contemporary Art Department at the Met. But Achille is also an arts educator, a curator, an expert of 20th century avant-garde movements, and our curator for Flight into Egypt, Black Artists and Ancient Egypt, 1876 through now. So we're very excited. Achille, if I had a song like an air horn, this is where I would blow it, and I'd be like, come on, Achille. We're very excited for Achille to give us a preview, and for all of you to preview the exhibition that will open November 12th and will be running through, November 17th and running to February 17th of next year. Sorry about that, I mixed it up there. But Achille, you're the expert in this. I don't want to mix my words anymore. Take it on.
Thank you, Marty and colleagues, and good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. It's my pleasure to present a brief preview of Flight into Egypt, Black Artists and Ancient Egypt, 1876 to now. Flight into Egypt is the first exhibition to broadly examine the nearly 150-year history of how modern Black artists and cultural figures asserted affinity with ancient Egypt in opposition to the prevailing definition of 19th century Egyptology that distinguished ancient Egypt from so-called Black Africa, and instead characterized the civilization as Proto-European. It's very significant that the Met, which has historically been a bastion of Eurocentrism, is mounting this groundbreaking exhibition, which highlights Afrocentric perspectives on history. So the image that you see on the screen, which has been a promotional image for the exhibition, is a work by the artist Fred Wilson called Gray Area Brown Version. It's from 1993, and it metaphorizes the spectrum of perspectives on claims to ancient Egyptian identity. And next slide. And the Wilson was the sort of conceptual point of origin for the exhibition. We just are starting to receive our exhibition catalog in numbers, which will be available next week. In addition to my overview essay, the catalog includes essays by Met curator Andrea Achi on the history of Black Americans in the field of Egyptology, Oakland-based curator Makita Best on Black photographers and Egypt, and Glenstone curator Mia Matthias on opacity and myth in the Black arts movement. In addition to statements by 10 artists featured in the exhibition, among them Fred Wilson, Julie Meritu, Solange Knowles, and Lauren Halsey. Like the exhibition, this is the first book of its kind on the topic. So my presentation will highlight a few of the plethora of compelling works of art in the exhibition and their backstories. Next slide. So the subtitle of Flight into Egypt is Black Artists and Ancient Egypt, 1876 to now. That 1876 start date refers to Black and Native American sculptor Ammonia Lewis's monumental marble sculpture, The Death of Cleopatra, which she executed in Rome in 1876, and which is considered the oldest surviving major work by a Black American artist with an ancient Egyptian subject. For conservation reasons, the Smithsonian American Art Museum was unable to lend the work to the Met, so we commissioned a film by award-winning filmmaker Madeline Hunt Ehrlich to bring The Death of Cleopatra into the exhibition. The resulting film, Cleopatra at the Mall, traces the rediscovery of the once lost sculpture in the 1980s, in the late 1980s. Next slide. So if Fred Wilson's Gray Area Brown version is the conceptual point of origin for the exhibition, and Edmonia Lewis's Death of Cleopatra is the chronological starting point for the show. This photograph, for me, is a formational point of origin for this exhibition. So I was born and raised in Brooklyn. This is a photo of the intersection of Carroll Street and Bedford Avenue in Crown Heights. I grew up a few blocks from here. My best friend's family is still on this block. However, the bowling alley that occupies most of the image is no longer in existence. Now that site is part of Medgar Evers College campus, but this is an image from the early 1980s that captures Bedford Bowling Center, which I remember walking by as a child with these amazing, colorful, ancient Egyptian inspired cartouches and a depiction of Abu Simbel, as well as on the other side that's cut off in this image, portraits of notable figures of Black history. So I include this to say that in many ways, this exhibition is a very personal project in that I've been amassing the images and sounds and sights in this show over the course of my lifetime. Next slide.
Oh, it's kind of taking some time.
Sorry.
There we go. That's
okay. So to go from Brooklyn in the 1980s to a Brooklynite in the 1980s, this is work by Jean-Michel Basquiat that's in the exhibition called Kings of Egypt 2. It's one of the several international loans that makes this such a strong exhibition. I'll just point out some of the specific features of the painting that point to ancient Egypt. So at the top, Ramses II is written out with both Arabic and Roman numerals. At the center of the canvas in white, the name of the pharaoh Amenophis is written in white and crossed out several times. This is Kings of Egypt 2. Kings of Egypt 1, the painting that preceded this one in the series, has that name written more clearly, which helps make this one legible. There's a pyramid on the sort of bottom right in yellow, and there are various crowns and references to skulls and Basquiat's typical iconography. Next slide. So this is another image in the exhibition that comes out of a sensibility that's rooted in New York's Black communities. This is a photograph that was taken by Fred Wilson, but distributed as a postcard by the Studio Museum in Harlem as part of their, I believe, ongoing series, Harlem Postcards. And this one is called Black Egypt. It's from 2019, and it is a photograph of vendor's table on 125th Street in Harlem with various Afrocentric books and statuettes inspired by ancient Egypt. Next slide. So there are several innovative within the context of the Met features of this exhibition. One of them is embodied by this work by Stephanie Jemison and Jamal Cyrus called Alpha's Bet Is Not Over Yet. And it's an immersive installation, an interactive installation, that's the innovation, I guess, for the Met, that the 575 Xerox facsimiles of Black American periodicals spanning 1900 to 1940 are tactile and accessible. So the public is encouraged to browse these because, typically museum displays, archival periodicals will be displayed under glass, maybe emphasizing their cover images that relate to the theme. We will have some original editions of The Crisis and Fire magazine in the gallery that will be adjacent to this installation, but those are made tangible by this installation, as well as giving people access to, beyond the covers, the articles, the advertisements, the incidental illustrations that course throughout these periodicals that relate to ancient Egypt and other concerns of Afrocentric communities in the early 20th century. Next slide. Oh, I should just mention before we go to the next image that this work will be activated throughout the course of the exhibition. So by artists and various community groups who are invited to interact with the materials in a sort of structured way. Next slide. So another distinctive feature of Flight into Egypt is that the exhibition will feature for the first time at the Met dedicated space for performance art. So that gallery, which is called the Performance Pyramid, will feature both archival images of Black performance art that is animated by ancient Egyptian themes, like the image that's on the screen right now of a performance by Kamau Amu Patton at the Museum of Modern Art in 2017. But even more excitingly, this space will be the stage for a series of 11 dates of performances, live performances that are restagings of historic performance works and new presentations of theatrical or musically based performance works in the exhibition itself. And the schedule for that is available on the website. Next slide. So this is a really exciting object. One of the overlooked histories that this exhibition reintroduces is George Washington Carver's claim to have rediscovered the ancient formula for Egyptian blue pigment in the 1920s. This bottle on the screen is labeled in Dr. Carver's handwriting, Egyptian blue 9th oxidation. Carver, who was born enslaved, became a prominent agricultural scientist, initially motivated by his wish to produce pigments for his own artwork. In 1923, a year after the richly painted tomb of Tutankhamun was discovered or rediscovered, Carver applied for a US patent for his process of extracting brilliant blue pigment from Alabama clay. Met conservator Anna Sirota and scientists at Tuskegee University and Iowa State University collaborated with me to test the chemical qualities of this pigment and determined that it's actually Prussian blue, not Egyptian blue. But nevertheless, Carver's assertion is a really important cultural reclamation. And that reclamation is referred to in a work by Terry Atkins, next slide, from 2013, which is entitled Oxidation Blue. And this is a loan from a private collection. And this work is really important because it's actually what led me to the knowledge of the existence of Carver's Egyptian blue and his patenting of that in 1923. This work by Atkins also is a nice transition to a third exciting feature of this exhibition, which is that it also includes works of art that are outside of the walls of the Met. So in the next slide, there's another work by Terry Atkins that is at the 125th Street Park Avenue Station Bridge for MTA Metro North Railroad Harlem 125th Street Station by Terry Atkins called Harlem Encore. It's one of 3 works in the MTA system that during the course of this exhibition are designated as part of the exhibition because they relate to the themes in the show. So in this steel relief against blue, again, I think another reference to Egyptian blue, Atkins cites sphinxes on either end that are taken from, that are quotations of Aaron Douglas's design for Fire magazine in 1924. And the designation of these MTA works as part of the exhibition is really to mark that these communities already have embedded within them these symbols and this history, and also to drive visitors to the Met, but also to meet people where they are and to highlight the works of art that reflect the principles and the principles advanced by the artists in this show. So thank you very much. I don't know if there's time for any questions, but I'd be happy to answer.
If you're okay with it, okay, yes, definitely. We'll open it up for questions. If you prefer to drop them in the chat or to unmute yourself at this moment and ask Akili questions. Before that, thank you so much, Akili, for such a beautiful and really profound and nuanced way to speak about this. We're excited about this opening soon, and for the preview that you've given us. But at this moment, any questions you may have? We'll allow folks to unmute themselves, or you can drop it in the chat.
If not, I'm looking forward to seeing you all at the museum.
Looks like we have a question from Erica. If you're willing to unmute yourself, you're welcome to, or pop it in the chat.
Good afternoon. Well, yeah, good afternoon from New Orleans. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, perfect. Good afternoon. My name is Erica Witt. I'm the director and chief curator here at Southern University at New Orleans Museum of Art, and I am so happy to be with you all, and I'm looking forward to coming up to New York to see the exhibition. I do have a question for you. It may be a bit controversial, hopefully not. How does the Met tend to quell any adversary that may come with the exhibition, especially with at least from my viewpoint, there seems to be an anti-Afrocentric movement that's happening through Egypt via routes about history, etc. Does the Metropolitan Museum have any idea of what they're going to do in preparation if there is backlash? Thank you for answering and taking my question.
I appreciate that question. So there are many facets to this exhibition. One of the things I didn't cover, there are 10 sections to the exhibition. One of the sections is specifically dedicated to the work of modern and contemporary Egyptian artists who engage with ancient Egyptian themes. So one of the considerations of this exhibition, of this project in general, was that historically, besides Black artists and cultural figures being sort of systemically excluded from the official channels of Egyptology, there was also the omission of modern Egyptian perspectives in the discourse of ancient Egypt, as reflected in Western museum institutions. So the inclusion of Egyptian artists in this project is one way to address that. But I think in terms of anticipating backlash, I mean, backlash comes in many forms. Some of it is more immaterial than others. I mean, for instance, like the internet, there's so much ugliness that happens in comment sections. I anticipate that, but I think generally at the Met, we let people express themselves, or people or bots express themselves. And maybe another colleague might have something to say about responses, but I think it is important to recognize that this exhibition acknowledges that the perspectives of Egyptians have often been omitted from institutional discourse on ancient Egypt. And it's not a comprehensive presentation at all, but the show does make a nod to Egyptian perspectives. And there are Egyptians who've made contributions to the exhibition catalog as well.
Thank you, Akili. And thank you, Erica, for your question. And just to quickly add to that, Akili, that this exhibition neatly lends itself also as a platform for dialogue. And I think this is where also our public programs come in place. Like, how do we offer space to have dialogue about different perspectives as we're learning through this as well? So we really welcome all of you to be a part of these programs that we'll be hosting. And that is one of the reasons that we're also doing these community partnerships and initiatives with all of you, in terms of like, how do we hear how do we listen? How do we hear to one another? How do we listen to one another? How do we create space and dialogue in these programs, and to have just a better shared humanity with us? So thank you, Akili, for answering that and for your beautiful presentation. And I think also we're looking forward to the opening next week, November 17, which will run through February 17 of next year. And with that, I had mentioned that we had great news to share with you. We have 2 invitations that we want to extend to y'all. One of them is also our free tickets to the museum. So if you are interested in receiving free tickets to the museum, each ticket is a family ticket for yourself and up to 4 guests. We'd love to send out some complimentary tickets for you, and also so you can come out and check out the exhibition. So we'll be dropping the link in the chat for you to fill out the registration form, and you can come out and experience Flight into Egypt starting next week. And also the second invitation is that we will be hosting a community tour on Wednesday, December 4th, one at 11:30 and the other at 1:30. So if you're interested in joining this community tour on December 4th, we'd love to host you. So please register now. We do have a link. You can use the QR code on the screen or click on the link in the chat. So again, we do have free tickets for y'all, and also the opportunity of a community tour that will be led by Antoinette Cooper, one of our educators here in our team. So very exciting for you to be able to walk through the galleries and hear more about this. And there's another invitation that we have for y'all, as well as you're thinking about dialogues and conversations. We do have a creative convening, and that is on Saturday, December 7th, free with museum admission, a full day of performances, conversations, readings, and we go much more in depth in terms of Flight into Egypt, and we'll be listening to more folks in the field, and Akili himself speak more about this. The creative convening, that is December 7th, 10:30 a.m. to 5 p.m., completely free. We'll drop the link in the chat as well, and we hope that you can meet us there, see us there, and say hello in person as well. But before we end, and I'll stop sharing this, we want to say thank you and just open it up for questions, feedback, anything that you would want to share with us today. We still have some time, but before saying that, thank you so much for your attention and for being here. Akili, thank you so much for walking us through the presentation. We know that you're still setting up and doing those final touches to the exhibition, so we're so gracious for your time and for everyone being here. Our hope is really for you to get more information about this exhibition in hopes that you can take it back to your organizations, take it back to your constituents, and that we could really build a community that can come out to the museum and engage with this exhibition. But we'll leave it open for any questions or comments. Thank you for that. Thank you. And we have the links in the chat, our community tour registration, our creative convening, also our free tickets, so feel free. And then also our email. So if there's any question that maybe doesn't pop into your mind now, but pops into your mind later, feel free to please email us. That's our community email. And we'll be checking that as well. Any questions at this moment? Feedback? How are we doing? Good? Great.
Hi.
Janelle, Laura. Yes, of course.
Hi, yes, thank you all so much for hosting this virtual opening. This is amazing. I'm Shaddai from the State Cultural Arts Center and here in New Orleans. And so maybe I missed it, but is this a traveling exhibit? Or is this something that you all wish or aim to take outside of New York? Maybe?
No, this is planned as a single venue exhibition, unfortunately.
I know you want to come to New Orleans.
It's not my call.
Okay, right. Well, thank you. Thank you. This is beautiful. I look forward to coming out there and seeing it.
We're going to have you come out here then, but please say hi to us. And again, we have a link in the chat for free tickets. And if you're around New York during our creative convening or our community tour, we'd love to host you as well.
Beautiful. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you. So great seeing so many faces here. Thank you so much for joining us. I see Ron, I see Antoinette, so many folks. Thank you. Any other questions, comments as we're wrapping up?
Hi, this is Michelle Bishop from Harlem Needle Arts.
Hi,
I'm
Michelle.
not sure if I missed it, but will any of this exhibition, any elements be offsite in other communities? Let's say Harlem. Any plans for that at this time?
So as I mentioned, there are 3 works in the MTA system that are designated as part of the exhibition. There isn't any activity necessarily planned for those sites, but they are actually all in Harlem. So there's 125th Street, the Metro North Station, the Terry Atkins is there on 125th Street, and Lexington, the 456 station. There is an installation by Houston Conwell, which was actually the first MTA Arts and Design Commission from 1984. And the third is at 110th Street, which is what we call Central Park North Station, which is served by the 3, and that is a mosaic by Maren Hassinger. So those 3 sites are in Harlem, and we will be promoting the exhibition at those sites and promoting those sites from within the exhibition. So the last thing people see is a call to action to visit those sites.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Celeste.
Hi, how are you? This is amazing. Thank you so much for inviting me. When I hear Egypt and I look at this amazing exhibition, I'm always thinking Egypt was the birthplace of beer. And as a brewer and looking at using beer labels as banners for telling stories, I'd love to explore any opportunities to do that with a beer, given its connection to the social life and practices and art within Egypt. So I'd love to perhaps explore that with some of the artists or with the Met, if that's of interest.
I'm interested in beer, so I would like to connect on that.
Awesome.
Hi.
Hello, yes, we hear
Yeah.
you, William. Mhm.
Yeah, William Hamer. So this is a great exhibition. Looking forward to seeing it. But Akil, I have a question. So this is an exhibition on ancient, let me come on camera, ancient Egypt, but it goes back to 1876, right? My question is, is there any evidence or record of Black artists who literally lived in ancient Egypt and who are responsible for some of the magnificent works that have come out of Egypt over the millenniums? Is there any effort or indication that that existed, which I'm sure it did, and whether or not there's any evidence that or indication or any relevant data or information that talks about Black ancient artists from that era?
Thank you for that question. So there's a couple of things I need to unpack, I guess, to address it. First, that this exhibition is an exhibition about the reception of ancient Egypt from 1876 to now. So it's not about ancient Egypt per se, it's about how ancient Egypt has been received by Black cultural figures, Black communities, really, more than Black cultural figures are the ones who are expressing it. And that's what we're interested in because we're an art museum. But really, this all emerges from community claims, community knowledge. So this is a historiographic exhibition from that perspective, not a historical exhibition from that perspective. It's looking at a history of people's reception of an ancient history. So I'm not making direct claims about ancient Egypt. I'm saying that since 1876, people who have been defined as Black and who define themselves as Black have been have claimed this ancient culture as an example of a ancient Black culture, of a precedent of their own culture. So it's assessing those claims and looking at how those claims manifest in art, in literature, in science, in fashion, in all sorts of human endeavors. Now, the question of, is there evidence of Black artists in ancient Egypt is a thornier question because then we get into the discussion of the efficacy or the usefulness of a term like Black before the racialized world that we live in, right? So the claims that are made by Black artists are necessarily anachronistic claims because the fragmentation of the world or society into Black and white was not even a relevant thing if we're talking about ancient Kemetic society, right? The people who lived in ancient Kemet defined themselves as distinct from all of their neighbors. And so the term Black or white wouldn't even apply to that society's framing of itself. So it's like there are many ways I could approach this, but that's the sort of short answer is that this exhibition is looking at people who are uncontrovertibly Black or Negro or what, I mean, there have been shifts every 3 or 4 decades, right? In how this group of people who has been separated from Africa generationally defines itself vis-a-vis historical ancient Africans. So it's a complicated question to answer, but you have to establish a set of parameters and definitions so that we're all even on the same page and talking about whatever facet of it we'd like to talk about. But as in terms of this exhibition, it's an exhibition about the reception of ancient Egypt, not an exhibition about ancient Egypt. And that's reflected also in the checklist. There isn't a single work in the show that is of ancient origin because I'm not really making comparisons between what Black artists from 1876 to now are making and what ancient Egyptian artists made, ancient Africans made, right? I'm saying that modern peoples of African descent claim this ancient African civilization as a precedent for their own.
Okay. Thank you for that. Yeah. Appreciate that explanation. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for the question. It's a great question.
Thank you, Akili. We have a couple of minutes, but as we're wrapping up, just want to say again, thank you, everyone. We dropped in the chat the opportunity for free tickets so you can come and experience the exhibition and really take it in. And we also dropped in the link for the community tours that we'll be hosting in December. So that's December 4th. And also we shared more information about our creative convening happening on Saturday, December 7th, our creative convening here at the Met. So various opportunities and entry points for you to intake the exhibition and different programs. With that said, I want to say again, thank you so much for joining us. You have our email. If there are any other questions, I know we're even talking about beer now. We need to do that beer trip all together. Please send us your questions or feedback or notes to our email. We'll definitely look forward to getting back to you, connecting with you. And we hope that you see that Flight into Egypt is an exhibition that, yes, we're really truly trying to engage with all of you, but we hope that this is an entry point where it's not only this exhibition, but all to come and forthcoming. So we hope that this is a way that you can come to the Met, get to know more about the work that we're doing. This is a very privileged moment. Thank you, Akili, for giving us an opportunity to learn more and directly from you. So we're very excited about this happening next, like we mentioned, November 17th. That's our opening, and we look forward to seeing y'all here. With that said, on behalf of Public Programs and Engagement and our education team, I want to say thank you so much again for your partnership, for your attention, and for being here. We hope to continue seeing you and to continue building together in solidarity to truly reach and serve our communities across New York. With that, thank you, Laura. Thank you, Janelle, Akili, all of our colleagues who are on the line. Sherry, thank you so much for joining us and for giving that overview of our public programs and engagement. Can't wait to see all of your faces here for our exhibition. Again, opening November 17th. I'm going to repeat that until it's in your brain forever, November 17th. See you next week, and you can follow up with us if you have any other questions. In the meantime, just saying thank you and full gratitude and looking forward to seeing all of you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.